as we always do. I think I have to do this. So this is the October meeting of the Wharf District Council, where welcome everyone to our first in-person and hybrid, but in person for the first time in 30 months, which is pretty amazing. So we're trying to get back to something normal. But I would tell everybody that it appears to be, I don't know how it works quite yet, so that if you're sending a chat, just be aware of the fact that others may see it, because I'm not sure who sees what at this point. But don't say anything nasty about it. We're happy to welcome Rick and Luz, who are going to tell us a little bit about what's the aquarium has been working on lately. That was second on our agenda, but I don't see anyone from BPD here who we usually give the first 5 minutes to. So why don't we start out, Rick, and you can, you or Luz can tell us what the future holds for the aquarium.
Yeah, sure. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
All right, I see a bunch of nodding, friendly faces. So great to be with you. And probably from the background, you can tell that I'm outdoors. Gotta love modern technology to some degree, I guess, right? Maybe we're all zoomed out, but to this degree, it probably is a nice little benefit. But if at any point you can't hear me, just send a note in the chat and I'll gladly speak up. And so first, I just wanted to take an opportunity to introduce our new Director of Community Relations, Luz Arregoces. And I think in some cases, some of you have already met Luz. She's been with us for 7 weeks. And she is our eyes and ears on the ground and in the community. And you'll see a lot of her, both on the downtown waterfront area, as well as the North End and other places throughout Boston, representing the institution. So we're certainly glad to have her. She comes to us from the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, as their director of programs, and like me is also a native Cape Codder, but perhaps she had a little leg on the race there. But we're really excited to have her join the team. So I wanted to just spend a couple quick minutes, and I underscore and italicize, couple quick minutes with you, and just kind of taking an opportunity to remind everyone who we are as a half-a-century-year-old ocean conservation organization. Throughout the pandemic, we really kind of wanted to make sure we were doing all that we could to really focus on key pillars of work with the institution and constantly take an opportunity to share those pillars of work with folks. I would also just, as I think some of you have gotten already, our invitation to Neighbor Night, which is Monday, October 24th, p.m., I believe. I'm looking at Luz's nodding head, so that's good. I didn't mess up. You're all welcome to join us for a night, and you'll hear this as well as have an opportunity to explore the main building on your own leisure, and there'll be some Halloween themed goodies as well. If I could share my screen.
Go right ahead.
All right. Let's see. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
All right. There we go. So good for everybody?
Yep.
Okay. So, Mark, I would just say at the top of this, this isn't necessarily a new vision for the New England Aquarium per se, but this is an opportunity for us, and we did some strategic work over the pandemic to really kind of synthesize who we are and what we do, right? And I think the Wharf District Council members in particular, and folks in the downtown waterfront area, as well as the North End and other adjacent areas, know us as this great place on Central Wharf. And, to some degree, probably know us as a big economic engine, right? We, in 2019, we did a study with Tufts University generated just shy of about $270 million worth of economic activity for Greater Boston. We also generated just shy of about $20 million in state and local tax revenue, right? So not only are we would say, a great ocean conservation organization over a half a century old, we're a great cultural destination. We are also an economic driver for the city of Boston and for the Greater Boston area. So I'm going to go through this really quick, and probably best to just take questions at the end if that's okay, Mark.
Sure.
I see a nodding head. All right. So, I think everyone's familiar with our mission. We're a catalyst for global change. Public engagement is a priority of ours. We have a commitment to marine animal conservation, obviously innovative scientific research, and effective advocacy. Our vision, as it's plainly put, is a vital and vibrant ocean for future generations. We took an opportunity to synthesize our values, right? We live blue. We practice what we preach in our work and in our everyday lives. We're a science-based organization, right? We lead with the science, and we react to what the science tells us. We're obviously innovators, right? We rely on a diverse mix of colleagues and talents to find solutions to problems that we find in our ocean and in our climate. We balance, right? We look at things from a balanced approach when it comes to the ocean's use and its preservation. We work at the speed of trust. Relationships for us are everything. And obviously that is key to creating lasting impact. And then we commit to DEI. We want to ensure that we are inclusive of a range of diverse perspectives and diverse communities. So these are the key pillars of our work. Obviously, we advance animal and ocean health. We use our opportunities to influence policy decisions and industry practices for positive outcomes for our ocean. We promote responsible use of the ocean to make sure that any uses of the ocean include a conservation focus. We inspire and develop advocates, right? We spark interest among people to take action. In the pre-pandemic year, we saw roughly 1.3 million visitors to our home on Central Wharf. And it would be smart of me to remind folks too, not only do we have a home at Central Wharf, but we also have a home in the Quincy Shipyard, which is where our animal care facility is. We have the largest, or one of the largest, sea turtle rescue facilities in all of the United States. And then we partnered to build resilient communities, right? We work to build resilient spaces and resilient communities to really be prepared to adapt and thrive in an ever-changing climate. So pillar one, advancing animal and ocean health. What does this mean? We use science to study and solve problems facing marine habitats, marine species, individual particular animals. We have a lot of work done in our organization on the North Atlantic right whale and sharks, obviously sea turtles. And, we take that research and put it to work, influencing, as I mentioned, policy decision and various industry practices. And I'm not going to go through the how we do it. You can all read through that. We can certainly have a conversation at the end. I think this probably all seems to make sense for some of you who know us more than others as well. And I'm seeing some nodding heads there, so that makes me feel good, which is great. Promoting responsible use, right? We ensure that the use of the ocean has a conservation focus. So think about that in the context of offshore wind, right? We have conservation partnerships with all of the Massachusetts-based offshore wind companies to make sure that the work that they are looking to do really prioritizes minimal effects on the ocean and the species that call it home. Inspiring and developing advocates, right? So we view our home on Central Wharf as a vehicle by which we educate and inspire people, right? We want people to come to Central Wharf and be educated and be inspired and then take action. And so we're really excited to kind of really think about ways that we can take all of what we share in our main building on Central Wharf and inspire people to do something. And that could be changing consumer behavior, perhaps. That could be writing a government official and advocating for certain ocean protection. And then lastly, we partner to build resilient communities, right? We want to create neighborhoods that are resilient. And whether that's resiliency from sea level rise or storm surge or king tides or sunny day flooding, or whether that's, resiliency from an economic perspective, bringing people to our waterfront so that they feel all that the ocean has to offer, creating economic activity for all people along the waterfront, and really just ensuring that our waterfront is resilient, it is inclusive, and that everyone has a seat at the table in determining what the future of our waterfront looks like, right? So, obviously through the work that the Wharf District Council is really pioneering, and I would underline and bold and italicize that word pioneering when it comes to sub-district resiliency and neighborhood-wide planning. We haven't had that in Boston, and that's really exciting, and that's certainly a part of why we're so excited about that effort. So that, in our view, would sit under this pillar of work as well. So I went super fast. I'm gonna unshare my screen if I can figure out how to do that here somewhere.
Not that one.
Not that one. Oh, there we go. Stop share. Modern technology at its best. So I flew through that, and I appreciate the opportunity. It dawned on me when Mark and I had breakfast one morning that I think it's just always probably good for us to share with you what we're doing and ways that we are looking to make an impact, right? The ocean encompasses 71% of our planet. And so oftentimes you'll hear when we talk about things that are going on with the Green New Deal, we say that there's a blue angle to that as well. Because there are great ways for us to harness the power of the ocean to solve some of the problems that we are confronting, and there are great jobs and opportunities in those spaces as well. I'll stop there and take a deep breath.
Thanks, Rick. I'm sure other people have questions also, but you mentioned something or other about another facility that I wasn't aware of. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so our Quincy Animal Care Facility in the Quincy Shipyard. So we have this great big warehouse. It's not a public-facing facility, so I would just not jump up and say, hey, I want to come visit, unless you want to volunteer. We do take volunteers, but it is where we do our sea turtle rescue work. It is where we do our husbandry work. It's where animals that may come to us would sit in quarantine before they would come into an exhibit in the main building. And kind of other different types of animal care, routine care go on at the animal care facility in Quincy. It's a great facility. We're just getting on the cusp of the beginning of this next sea turtle rescue season. Last season, we saw over 500 turtles came to our facility. The Cape, if you don't know, is a major ground for sea turtle stranding. And so we, with partners on the Cape, rescue those sea turtles, and in many cases provide care, or we will work with another partner to make sure that they get the care that they need. And then in many cases, we will work with a partner to transfer those facilities down to other locations to be released if they're deemed releasable, or in some cases, they may not be deemed releasable and may go to another aquarium across the United States.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Didn't know that. Yeah.
The more you know.
Great. Other questions other people might have, please, Suzanne, you have something?
I have a question. Many years ago, I believe you had some classes that were open to the students in the garage area, or am I mistaken? That you used to bring young people in for educational sessions of some sort.
Yeah, what was formerly known as our community and learning department is now our conservation learning department. It was pretty heavily impacted during the pandemic, and we are in the process of rebuilding that team to offer a whole host of different educational programming opportunities. So stay tuned for more of that. We took the pandemic time to kind of relook at the strategy behind that work. And we're just kind of on the other side of that now, and looking to build a team to really deliver on that. So more to come on that one, Suzanne. Yeah.
So how can members of the Wharf District be the best possible neighbors and supporters of the New England Aquarium?
Do you want me to put the donate link in the chat?
I'm sure we can find that one.
You know that was coming. I think there's a lot of different opportunities. One of the things that was really hard for us during the pandemic, we rely on volunteers quite heavily, both in Boston and what we call our Boston campus and our Quincy campus. So if anyone's looking for an opportunity, I think Luz put her contact in the chat. Certainly reach out and we'll connect you with that team here. That's always a great opportunity. Certainly, I just want to say thank you. We're getting better at sharing information so that, if there's certain programming that you're interested in, for example, our Lowell lecture series, which is housed in the Simons Theater, has a robust list of speakers that certainly people can participate in. Certainly the location is advantageous for folks. And, I would certainly say just, really take an opportunity to follow us on social media and kind of learn all of the different things that we're doing. I find that to be a way, even as a colleague, that I learn more and more about the 15,000 species that call the New England Aquarium home. And that's another great way of learning. But certainly, there's a whole host of different public opportunities, like the Lowell lecture series, that we're excited to offer to folks.
Great. Other questions for Rick? I think, you guys are such an important part of our community and our world. And we appreciate your sharing what you're up to, and value everything that you do so much. So
I have one more question.
yeah.
I have a question too. The movies in the IMAX, will there ever be movies coming back? I know you do have them, but usually they're tied to a program.
Yeah, so we have a robust offering of movies to the Simons Theater. It's no longer an IMAX theater. The year before the pandemic, we did a significant renovation to the theater itself. We pulled out the IMAX technology and put in all digital HD. It unleashed a wide array and significant volume of new movies that we can offer. And so that's why I always kind of caution people, as silly as it sounds, to follow us on social media. Those things are there as well, but we do have a robust of movie offerings at the Simons that folks should definitely take advantage of.
Hi, I'm Catherine Wooters, and my question is, years ago, the aquarium offered sustainable seafood dinners that we would get invitations to and attend, and they were fabulous.
And you'd like them back, I assume.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for more of that. We are, we don't hide the ball here, and we lost about just over 40% of our colleagues during the pandemic. And I just, I have to give a shout out to folks like the Children's Museum and our friends at Boston Harbor Now and others who, we all kind of leaned in together during the pandemic, and it made it so much more bearable. There were some bleak days. I'm sure all have experienced that during the last couple of years. But it was through partners like VCM and BHN and our friends at the city that we were able to kind of get through this. We were in essence stronger together. And that was a really, really great feeling. That was the light that was somewhat bleak at times during the pandemic. But so look forward to those in the future. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there.
Thank you.
Martha, did you have a question also? No, okay.
There's one question in the chat about work that's been going on at the building. So I'll just, if that's okay, Mark, to answer that. We were the beneficiaries of a significant gift from the Commonwealth to make some work at the main building with the air handlers and the HVAC system and the south facade, which was bearing the brunt of a lot of different factors. That work is still ongoing. The south facade work, the HVAC work is pretty much all done, and we're ready to kind of flick the switch. So we're getting there. The south facade work is going to take a little bit longer. It was a little bit more extensive and a little bit more neglected than we had anticipated. So thanks for bearing with us with the cranes and the trucks and such. Listen, we're a 53-year-old organization on a wharf. And, it's a blessing. And we have a little bit of work to do to the campus to kind of get it up to speed. And so we're working really hard, both the external relations team with friends in government, as well as our development team through individual supporters on making some pretty long overdue investments in the facility. So thanks for the question, Lee.
Right. We'll look forward to the next steps, whatever those may be. And thank you for all the help that you've given us on the task force. As we, I don't know if Derek is on here, but we're going to have an update, I think.
Hey, yes.
Oh, good. All right. So Rick, thank you very much. No other questions? Sorry, Sheila. Any other questions for anyone else? Great. Rick and Luz, thank you very much.
I think Emily was before.
Oh, sorry. All right.
I don't.
Suzanne is telling us on our agenda that we're actually going to hear from, because I don't think is it true that nobody is here from BPD? From BPD? I don't.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, fine. There was no crime and that's awesome.
Or I told them that
Right.
if there wasn't really anything going on.
That's fine. Catherine, we have a crime-free neighborhood. That's wonderful. All right, so Emily is going to tell us about the Moon Love Cafe's plans. And thank you again, Rick. And we'll come back to you, Derek. Sorry.
Thank you, Brett. Emily was on.
Is Emily on?
Hi.
Here she
Yeah.
is.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Here she is. Yes.
Hi, nice to meet all of you. So my name is Emily Udamsuk, and I'm the sole proprietor of Moon Love Cafe, and that's at 107 State Street. And I'm so excited to be a part of State Street and this area of Boston, downtown Boston. I'm so excited about that. And about my cafe, it's a bubble tea shop and dessert shop. And if you're familiar with bubble tea, it's like a tea-based, milk tea-based drink. How about if I share my screen? I've got some images.
Go right ahead.
Okay, I've never really done that before, so let me see if I can do it.
Well,
Wait, maybe I can't do it if I don't know what I'm doing. All right, well, Yeah, I've not done that before, so I'm gonna. not
Mike
do
Travis,
that.
while you says his 12-year-old daughter loves bubble tea.
She does.
So, okay. How is it? All right, I'm not sure where.
The one too.
Okay, sorry about that. So I had sent some images, but I guess I'd like to show those, but I'm just afraid that I didn't know how to share my screen properly for this. But anyway, I'd like to just introduce my shop. It's a bubble tea shop, and the drinks are Vietnamese iced coffee, Thai tea, and are any of you familiar with bubble tea?
Apparently, a number of people are, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, good. So I don't have to describe it too much, but most bubble tea shops are essentially like just a counter, and many customers come in and they just order their drink and then they take it to go. And I mean, that's true about many shops. Sometimes they have a few seats, but in my shop, it's designed to have space for people to sit and relax and enjoy their drink and their dessert, and have a little bit of time if they have time to rest and relax. And but I'd say probably the bulk of the customers would like to take their drink with them. Maybe like business people could take it back to their office, and tourists like to just grab a drink and go on their way. But as I was doing the permit process, I encountered a proviso on the space that I was unaware of. And so I'm in the process of appealing to the zoning board to obtain the takeout permit license for having takeout. And so I'm in the space that was Crush Pizza before, and also before that it was the Upper Crust years before that. So, and those two restaurants had takeout. They did quite a bit of takeout, pizza and everything. So so I was sort of I didn't expect that that this space would have that proviso on that, but since it has been taking time, the permit office, I was able to be granted a temporary permit to open as dine-in only, which is a little bit of a little bit of a shift for me, because then shifting into more of a sit-down restaurant. But I'm prepared to do that temporarily while I'm waiting for the zoning board to review my situation. And
I presume you'd like a letter from us.
I would, yes, that would be wonderful.
When are you scheduled? Do you have a scheduled date to go before the zoning board of appeals?
I actually, that is the condition for them to actually set the date is to have this meeting, actually. So I have to do the community outreach, and before they would set the date. So it's part of the process.
Okay. Questions for Emily? Are you open currently for us to be able to try bubble tea?
Not yet, not yet. I still have some inspections left to do, so before I can open.
What are your hours of operation?
So initially my hours will be 11 to 6, but I do plan to open earlier for sort of more of a breakfast time. And I do plan to be open 7 days a week. Initially, I may not, I plan to have at least one day off initially and to start.
Okay. Other questions for Emily?
What type of desserts?
You're gonna have desserts too?
Yes, so the desserts are going to change from time to time. I'm going to be bringing in new things, but primarily croffles is one of the desserts, if you're familiar with that. It's a croissant waffle and with fruit and different toppings. I also will be serving taiyaki, which is a fish-shaped kind of Japanese style pastry that's cooked in a waffle iron, and it's shaped like a fish, and it has red bean paste traditionally inside. But I will have some other fillings as well, custard and boba, and so I'll be serving sort of traditional bubble tea. All of my drinks are freshly brewed teas made with fresh milk and fresh fruit, and no powders and nothing like that. So it's, you know, I mean, it's a little bit fresher, a little bit more, you know, all fresh ingredients. And the boba will be cooked every 3 hours and always fresh.
Wow.
So.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Any other questions, anyone? Great, Emily, thank you very much. And Martha wants to know, do you use almond or oat milk?
Oh,
Folks with-
I plan to have both available if people would like it.
Great. Thank you very much. And we wish you the best of luck and can't wait to try it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, after this meeting, members will stay on and we will take a vote on our support for your venture.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Good luck.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
On to Derek. Are we doing Derek? Yes.
Yes.
Derek, if you would give us an update on how the progress is going with the Climate Resilience Task Force.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Just a quick update tonight. So we are progressing pretty well along our resiliency journey with you all here. We are, so just as a big recap, there were a few big tasks. We were doing due diligence, collecting as much information as we could. And we've completed that and put out our due diligence report, which is up on the Wharf District Council website for everybody to take a look at if anybody is interested there. We have moved now into a fair bit of outreach. So I suspect a number of you have, you know, some of you folks have certainly been approached now. We've been engaging with the waterfront property owners on some workshops, and we're probably about 80% of the way through our first set of workshops, or at least have them scheduled to come up in the next few days and weeks or so here. So we've got all of our first workshops complete or scheduled, with just a couple exceptions. We are still looking to catch up with 400 Atlantic. It just had some changes there, Parks and Rec and DPW, but to all of the property owners along the waterfront who have scheduled with us and met with us, big thank you to everybody there. So a big part of where we're at right now is, you know, we started collecting information. Now we're really collecting ideas and starting to put those down into paper. So that's what those workshops are about. That's what I'm hoping to encourage you all to do. You don't need to be a waterfront property, you know, living over at the waterfront properties at all to be participating in this. I'm going to share my screen super quick. One of the things we've been doing lately, if you go to the Wharf District Council website, and hopefully you can see the screen there is a new tab up at the top for climate resilience. You can click there and it will bring you to the climate resilience section. And this is where you can see the basis of design report, but I want to bring attention to the evaluation criteria here in case you haven't seen this yet. I'm not going to walk through this now. We went through it before, but this page, you can come in here and click on here and see our evaluation criteria, and you can send Mark any comments you have on that. We do have a little note that you know, we were looking for comments by yesterday, but certainly if you send some, you know, if you do have some comments this week or soon, we are very really appreciative of all the comments people have been sending through. It really helps us better understand your needs, your preferences as we go through. And these evaluation criteria are really important in how we rank and assess and prioritize the selection of the strategies that are available to us. This is a really important part of this process. So I do encourage anybody to come onto the page, take a look at what we got there, send your comments over.
Derek, if I could just interrupt for 1 second. I would say that people who are on this call who have not been part of the process so far, or who are from other parts of the city, I really encourage you to take a look at those evaluation criteria, because if we've done it right, and so far I've been very impressed with the work that Derek and his team have done in setting up those evaluation criteria, they are a solid basis for pretty much any community to use for evaluation of resilient solutions. I know a number of other people were suggesting that those were the kinds of tools that they needed. You're welcome to them. Snag them, use them, steal them, change them, whatever you want. They are for use for anyone who is looking to try to create a resilient solution. So,
yeah, absolutely. And they're by no means formalized, finalized, done. This is a living project, and we're still looking for your feedback to feed into this. And you know, we're rolling with, you know, the input that we're getting from all of you. So no matter where you're at, please do send your ideas along, and they will be included in our decision making, you know, in the decision making process. So you can be part of that decision making process through all of these steps here. We
Derek,
are.
Before you go on, would you like me to send a reminder out to people and give them to the end of this week?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think that'd be great. So we've also reached out to a number of the nonprofits in town, a number of the, you know, the folks in City Hall, BPDA, other folks who represent various, you know, various different stakeholders and different people throughout the community to try to seek feedback on this. And we've had some great feedback. So I appreciate it to everybody who has commented there, and encourage everybody else to do so as well. Next steps here. So we are just entering the real fun part of the project for us, which is, you know, starting to get these ideas down onto paper and look at some realistic engineering solutions that fit into the spaces we've got out along the waterfront. So we will really be getting into the weeds of the engineering side of things here as we move forward. And we've been doing that over the last month here with our team and starting to come up with some ideas, which we will then again put out there for folks to comment on, and have another opportunity to get your input into the process as we move forward. And then the other thing to watch for, you know, watch the space. We'll be pulling together some guidelines for everybody's not on the waterfront. Those inland, you know, you all who are more inland and are saying, hey, what can I do with my property? How do I kind of control my own destiny and such? So we'll have some guidelines coming out in the near future for you all as well. That's about it for me, unless there's any questions.
I just want to remind everybody that we are shooting for a January date for completion of this phase. There's more work to be done, obviously, after that. But we do really want to button things up at a point where we will be able to have something concrete that we can share with each other in the public. John, you have a question, I see.
Yeah, I think the obvious question is, have you worked with the aquarium, and what's the resolution with them? They're very close to the water there, and maybe even Emily's.
Already, right?
So I heard the first part of the question. Are we working with the aquarium? Absolutely. We've met with Rick and Luz there multiple times. They're on the task force. We've had our first workshop with them to talk through what they're looking at. So we're very much including them in the process. As far as what the resolutions are, at the moment, we are certainly just collecting information from everybody to start to put together into something that can be put down on paper that's a little more concrete for people to comment on specifics about types of solutions. So we're not at a point where we're saying this is, you know, the preferred strategy at any particular property at the moment on the project.
Oh, good. That's all. Thanks.
No, absolutely.
Other questions for Derek?
Hi, Derek. This is Chuck Legassi. It's nice to
Hello.
meet you.
Yes, very nice. Very glad you were able to come in today. We've been looking really looking forward to talking with you all.
Yeah, we purchased the long-term lease that includes the water sheet from Rose Wharf over to the aquarium.
Yes.
And up along the inner waterfront. And as you may know, we were involved in a number of waterfront locations in the city of Boston that includes both piers, wharfs, namely some we've just rebuilt in Charlestown over in the historic Navy Yard, and I've worked on Boston's waterfront for well over a decade. But my wife and I should probably interface with you about our immediate plans and long-term plans. We have been working with the aquarium for a few years now and discussing ideas and alternatives for resiliency, because we have a lot of experience with breakwaters and other mechanical engineered devices that we've used on the waterfront in a number of locations that you may have interest in hearing about and discussing. So I just wanted to introduce myself, and I look forward to possibly getting together with you in the very near future.
I would be thrilled. We were really hoping to be able to connect with you, and bringing your expertise in along the waterfront with the marinas and that real water experience that you all have is certainly invaluable to us. Very much, we'll definitely take you up on that offer. I know we've got your wife's contact info, and I've been connected with her on email. But certainly feel free to reach out to Mark if you've got his email. But we'll definitely find you, Chuck.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Chuck,
Well, thank you.
Chuck, let me, please, if I may, add, we really value your input and your experience. I would also say that if there are others, when you talk with Derek, please get go through the list of the people that they have been meeting with, and let us know what other either marine operators or water-related businesses you can think of that we should engage with, that we haven't already, because we want to make sure we are as inclusive as possible. And frankly, as you know, we've had this conversation with Kathy, right, and with Alice, and there are a lot of entities at the water's edge. Mostly, we're focusing on the people who are in the Wharf district, but when you're coming in to the Wharf district from someplace else, we need to know that perspective too. So anyone that you can think of that we should be talking with, please let us know.
Well, one thing that may interest everybody, and that is recently we just finished a breakwater in front of a pier, which is Pier 6, which everyone might know in the historic Navy Yard. We just finished a breakwater over there that is the first Hurricane Cat 5 rated breakwater on the East Coast, and that is in front of Pier 6, and that's to protect not only a harbor walk that we just rebuilt, but we just rebuilt two historic piers in Charlestown that took about 5 years. So that breakwater over in front of Pier 6 is geared to withstand a Cat 5 hurricane with waves that really are within the fetch of Boston Harbor. So that's the entire length of the harbor, and knock that wave down so that the residences in and around those piers won't experience, it'll knock a wave down that's rated at 7 to 10 feet if that ever happened, but that's never happened in Boston. But and it also will handle a wave in a storm surge up to and over 15 feet. So my point is that's finished. It's over there in Pier 6. We've got one at Pier 8. And we've worked on these breakwaters extensively in the harbor, so we're happy to share that. Most of this design we've worked with many engineers and many contractors and do the general contracting ourselves. So we'd be happy to discuss it.
Great, that's going to be invaluable. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Absolutely.
Any other comments or questions for Derek? Great. Thank you, Derek. And keep chugging, right?
Absolutely. Thanks very much, all.
Let's see.
It's not on this one, but we have Sierra.
Oh, Sierra is on, is that right? Sierra, are there some updates for us that you'd like to share?
There she is.
Hi. Yeah, not much updates, but hi everyone. I'm Sierra D'Amico. I'm with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. For those who don't know me, I cover the North End, West End, and the Wharf District. I see a lot of familiar faces. Just some brief updates. It's not necessarily like Wharf area, but like in the North End, we have the BCYF Nazaro Center Halloween party. If anyone wants to stop by on actual Halloween from 2:30 to 6:30. Saturday, the 29th, there's also Madonna della Cava Halloween party on Hanover and Battery Street. That will be from 1 to 3 p.m. You guys are all more than welcome to come, stop by, bring any grandchildren and come say hi. And then we do have just some vote-in that's happening. So you can do in-person early vote-in, and that will be from October 22nd through November 4th. You can just visit boston.gov/early vote-in to learn more about that. But that's really it for the updates. Everything's been good, and I hope everything's been well with you guys in the Wharf District, and happy to stay more in touch.
Thank you, Sierra. And Joanne just had to jump off, but she wanted to let us know
About the trellis.
about the trellis. Was that a chat? Yeah.
Yeah.
So she said that at Columbus Park on Monday, November 21st at 5 p.m., the mayor and neighborhood children will flip the switch and light up the night with the blue lights on the trellis. So another activity that in the area that you want us to know about.
Sierra, see, if there's anything that you want to pass on to us, we can always put it on the Wharf District website.
Right.
Okay, yeah, of course. Thank you.
Nothing, we don't really
Yeah.
have any.
So I think we have a short agenda this evening, and we're hoping next
The 18th.
on the
Wait for the
in November?
November.
Yeah.
I gave you the agenda and left mine on the printer.
Are we still planning on having Senator
Senator Edwards.
Yes, we're having Senator Lydia Edwards as our guest speaker in November, which if somebody has the agenda, they know the date.
November 15th.
November 15th. That's great.
And we're gonna do this again, this.
We'll try it again. Can I just ask, for those of you who are not in this room, how was this format for you?
This is Kathy. It worked really well.
Great.
Agreed.
I second that.
I thought it was great, although next time I hope to be in person.
You're all welcome here. We're in the Leventhal room. We're gonna eat. We just had Chateaubriand for everybody. Okay, great. So the format, we will continue to do this. Thank you very much to our friends at Harbor Towers who helped us set up this equipment, and we'll plan on using it again next time.
Yes.
So November 15th.
Oh, and although Stephen just left, but according to Stephen, they are supposed to bring their own equipment in here in November. So if they do, then they will have a similar situation. But I don't know
We'll see.
exactly if they're going to make it.
If you're not in the room, it's probably not going to make any difference.
Right.
Great. Thank you, Joe, for the feedback on that. I will now stop the recording because our meeting is over.
Did anyone have any comments or questions?
Any comments before I stop?